'Twas the 3rd of June, another sleepy, dusty Delta day.
We've just left Tupelo and we're on our way to Chickasaw County, Mississippi. We're looking into the life of singer-songwriter Bobbie Gentry. Bobbie became famous from the songs that she sang and wrote, like Ode to Billy Joe and Fancy, recorded by Bobbie and then later on by Reba McEntire. The song that kicked off her career was Ode to Billy Joe. The lyrics were so familiar with anyone raised in the South, such as, "It was the 3rd of June, another sleepy, dusty Delta day," and "Mama hollered out the back door, y'all remember to wipe your feet, and pass the biscuits, please," although in my case, it was usually pass the cornbread. I was out chopping cotton and my brother was baling hay. The lyrics to this song reminds me of a friend telling me that he told his girlfriend, "I'm staying so close to you that when you throw your dishwater out the back door, it's going to go all over me." In 1974, Bobbie Gentry was making more money on the Vegas Strip for a 16-week engagement than anyone, even Elvis. At the top of her career, she simply vanished from show business. Her last public appearance was in 1982 at the Country Music Awards in Nashville, Tennessee.
To accept this on behalf of Merle Haggard, I know he would thank all of you. Thanks so much.
Her fans and reporters for the last 40-something years has been trying to find out where she was or any information about her. During this time, she's made no statements and given no interviews. Bobbie Gentry was born Roberta Lee Streeter on the 27th of July, 1942, in Chickasaw County, Mississippi, near the community of Manatee. We stopped in Manatee to take a look around, and it looks like any other small Mississippi town. Now from there we headed to 147 County Road 307. It's now called Wall Street, Manatee, to locate her birthplace. We was routed a few miles, believe it or not, on a dirt road. It's been a long time since I've been on a dirt road. I kept thinking about the song, Hot Dusty Delta Day. When I look back, I could see why. Bobbie's daddy was Robert Harrison Streeter, and her mother was Ruby Lee Shipman. Shortly after Bobbie's birth, her parents divorced. Robert will marry again and live in Greenwood. Ruby will leave Roberta, or Bobbie, with Robert's parents and go to California to live with her mother Ruth. Bobbie will live for the next few years with her grandparents, Harvey and Maud Streeter. In this house, she was born in the bedroom on the right. Although Wall Street sounds like a city address, it's not. It's way out in the country, and the house is at the end of the road. When Bobbie's grandpa Streeter passed away in 1974, her daddy's sister, Frances Streeter Wall, came back to live and take care of her mother. It's believed Frances' son, Frank Wall, now owns the farm. Now this is Bobbie sitting at the piano that her grandmother traded for a cow so that she could learn to play. The house had no electricity or running water. They rode in a mule and wagon whenever they had to go someplace. But so did everybody who lived in the country at that time. I can remember my mother being more thrilled over getting a new set of Venetian blinds than she was electricity. Now this is Bobbie and her grandparents in 1967, sitting at the dining room table when she came back to visit. Her grandparents are buried at the old Pleasant Grove Cemetery within a mile or a mile and a half from the house. When Bobbie became school-age, she moved to Greenwood with her daddy and stepmother. Robert bought a house on Claiborne Street in 1951, and he passed away in 2009 at the age of 92. When she was around 13, Bobbie moved to Palm Springs, California, to live with her more affluent mother, who had remarried. She learned to play several instruments during this time, showing her major talent. Both her mother and grandmother were performers. Bobbie enrolled at the Palm Valley High School, a private school in Palm Springs. While she was still in high school, she began entertaining professionally. She even worked with her mother as a duo called Ruby and Bobbie Myers. On weekends, they would often perform at the Thunderbird, an exclusive country club in Rancho Mirage. In 1960, Bobbie graduated from high school. She once said that there were only 12 students in her graduating class. By this time, Roberta Streeter had picked her professional name as Bobbie Gentry from a movie named Ruby Gentry that starred Jennifer Jones. After graduation, she moved to Los Angeles to enter UCLA as a philosophy major. During this time, she worked at clerical jobs and continued performing at nightclubs. Bobbie also studied music at the Composition Conservatory of Music, where she played 5 different instruments. Gentry's dream was to become a songwriter and write for other artists. She didn't want to be up front, but write songs behind the scenes. Now this might be a hint why she was able later on to walk away from fame. In the early part of 1967, Bobbie wrote Ode to Billie Joe. She made a demo to shop to other artists at Whitney Recording Studio in Glendale. Not wanting to spend the money to hire a professional singer for the demo, as usually done, she sang it herself. 4 months later, on the 23rd of June, 1967, Bobbie signed with Capitol Records, and Ode to Billie Joe was released. It was a major hit, winning Gentry all types of awards and accolades. Now this is Bobbie being photographed for the cover of her first album. She's standing on the bridge across the Tallahatchie River near the community of Money, Mississippi, a few miles north of Greenwood. We're crossing the bridge located at the same place. Now the original wooden bridge that Bobbie was photographed on collapsed in 1972 when vandals set it on fire. Keep in mind, this was only a song. There is no real Billie Joe McAllister. Gentry simply wrote a story and used familiar names within the song, such as Tallahatchie River, Tupelo, and Carroll County. We've already crossed the river and now we've headed back to Highway 8. I've kept the camera running so I could show you how close the bridge is to another historical place. Down here on the left, where all the vines have the front of a building covered up, was Bryant's Grocery. On August the 20th, 1955, 14-year-old Emmett Till left Chicago on his way to visit family in Mississippi. A few days after arriving, Emmett and a few of his friends visited Bryant's Grocery and Meat Market. While Emmett went into the store to buy bubble gum, his friends remained outside. Now we're sort of easing around the building towards the back to see if we can take a better look inside. 21-year-old Carolyn Bryant, wife of the owner, Roy Bryant, confided to her husband that Till had made disparaging remarks towards her. Others said that he simply whistled. Around 2:30 a.m. on August the 28th, 1955, Emmett Till was taken from this house where he was staying with his great-uncle and aunt, Moses and Elizabeth Wright. Roy Bryant and his half-brother, J.W. Milam, was identified. Emmett Till was beaten badly, shot in the head and dumped in the Tallahatchie River. His body was found 4 days later. With all-white jury, they were found not guilty. Within a year, however, not fearing being charged again with double jeopardy, the two confessed to Look magazine for $4,000 that they mutilated and murdered Emmett Till. No one ever served time for Emmett Till's murder. In 1969, Bobbie Gentry was working the Vegas Strip, where she met and married casino owner William F. Harrah. He was 58 and she was 27. Within 4 months, on April 16, 1970, Bobbie divorced the casino tycoon. She then made all the show business rounds. She continued making personal appearances and even recording several duets with Glenn Campbell. The same year, in 1970, she flew to Muscle Shoals, Alabama, to record another hit song that she had wrote, Fancy. It was a hit for Gentry, and in 1991, it was a hit again for Reba McEntire. Now, during the next few years, she continued her career. Bobbie tried marriage again, this time to businessman Thomas R. Towton. They married on the 17th of August, 1976, and divorced 2 years later on the 1st of August, 1978. The year she married Thomas Towton, Max Baird Jr., Jethro on the Beverly Hillbillies, directed a film, Ode to Billy Joe, based on Gentry's hit song. When they started looking for a bridge to film in the movie, the one used by Bobbie's album cover had been replaced, so they found another wooden steel bridge a few miles south of Greenwood. At the community of Rising Sun on Highway 49, you turn right and follow Old Roebuck Road 512. And when we arrived, we found the movie bridge also had been torn down and replaced in 1987. But it was still in the right place, so we drove over and back again. To confuse things further, the town of Greenwood erected a sign over the Yazoo River dedicated to Bobbie, I guess because she had lived there for a while. It had nothing actually to do with the song or the movie. On October the 15th, 1978, Gentry married singer and comedian Jim Stafford. They were married under a tree on Stafford's 120-acre horse farm and married by Lieutenant Governor John Wilder. The ranch is located at 94 Burge Kendrick Loop, Brownville, Tennessee. Their marriage produced a son, Tyler Gentry Stafford. After the baby was born, Bobbie became more interested in becoming a loving mother to her son than being away from home performing so much. Unfortunately, Bobbie and Jim will divorce in September of 1980. In 2014, she sold a condo that she owned in Los Angeles. And through the years, she has lived everywhere from California to Georgia. But in 2010, she bought this house located at 9 Nottingham Creek Cove in Eads, Tennessee, just outside of Memphis. This is Bobbie with her half-brother, Robert Streeter Jr. Bobbie Gentry, the lady from Chickasaw County, now lives a quiet life behind a gated and protected community.
In the heart of Delta, where the cotton fields sway, there lived a young girl, her name was May. Barefoot and wild, with dreams in her eyes, underneath the Mississippi sun she'd rise. Oh, May, sweet May, child of the Delta land, with a heart full of hope and guitar in hand, in a world of dust and poverty she found a way, sing songs of the South and Beulah land. And storms that the Delta brought, May held on tight to the dream she saw. Every step she took, she aimed for the sky, faith in her heart and her eyes on the prize. Oh, May, sweet May, child of the Delta land, with a heart full of hope and guitar in hand, in a world of dust and poverty, she found her way, singing songs of the South and Beulah land. May's all grown up, but she's never forgot.